Hey guys, PDC here, and today we're going to be rounding out our final couple tournament matches that I really want to do. This is BKC versus Boudouche, two very good players for the finals of Smogon Tour 16. First game out of 3, advanced. Hopefully you guys will enjoy this one. This battle might be a little long because they both took quite a little time, and I can't quite speed it up to the point where I think that it would be convenient. So where, I can have a good time, talk about the moves and stuff like that. So I think I'll try to explain quite a bit and, see how this match is gonna unfold. But anyway, BKC, first of all, leads with a Snorlax, and Boudouche leads with a Tyranitar. Now, I don't think BKC is going to take too many risks for this one, simply because it could be a choice behind a Tyranitar, and I don't think BKC really likes the matchup of Snorlax against Tyranitar right off the bat, especially considering how crucial Snorlax is to so many teams. Boudouche, it could be a specially based Fire Blast, HP Grass variant, something like that you'd see quite often in Advanced. So he could be, so it could be a threat, it could be nothing at all, but it really depends. So BKC, he's taking some time to decide on what move he's going to make. You certainly do not want to get a Game 1 loss. That not only puts tremendous pressure on you, but it really just puts you in a corner, and the other person is gonna obviously play a little better than you because you're probably gonna be a bit shook. If you really want to tip the win Battle of Threes, always win Game 1. Always try to win Game 1. If there's one game in the whole Battle of 3 that you want to play the best, it's gonna be Game 1. So again, we're waiting on the timer here. Don't want to put the game at a speed where I'll be uncomfortable or anything. So BKC is running down the timer, and I think I'm actually going to speed this part up here a little. As you can tell, taking a little while. Both decided to take some move time. Like I said, it takes a little while. So, gonna unselect that and play it at normal speed. BKC goes to his Swampert in fear of something. Boudouche predicted it's probably a Steel to come in. Maybe something like Skarmory or Fortress. But then BKC brings in Swampert. Swampert's a much safer switch in. Boudouche could have easily went for an HP Grass there, but he decides not to. And instead, he reveals he does have an HP Grass as BKC goes into his own Tyranitar to take it. Boudouche returns the favor and goes out to his Swampert on the Earthquake. So, of course, this does mean that BKC's Tyranitar, it could carry a HP Grass, but because it has Earthquake, it might be a little less obvious. I'm guessing that it doesn't, simply because it does have Earthquake. It could be a Dragon Dance variant. It could be, it could have HP Grass in there, but with Earthquake, I kind of doubt it. So this is a crucial part in the game. I bet Boudouche is really feeling good right now. He does the double as BKC predicts. Well, he thinks that he can just get some layers of spikes up on his Swampert. Boudouche comes in with a nice double switch and just kills that Fortress right off the bat. BKC figures, I can better get at least one layer of spikes up if I need to have an advantage in this game, because BKC is not playing too much of an offensive team. It's a little of a bulkier, stally version, a BKC-esque team, considering it's all BKC uses. But anyway, so BKC is going to have to lose his Fortress and take one for the team, although he does get a layer of spikes up, so it's not completely in vain, but it's definitely a little damper for BKC. He brings in his Snorlax, which is probably the safest thing that you can possibly bring in there. Threaten something out and do some damage. Boudouche reveals he has a Celebi as his Snorlax switch-in. Now this is, Celebi is pretty annoying for teams like BKC's. Leech Seed variants are definitely annoying. Kama and Leech Seed, I hate those. So we'll have to see what BKC has cooking to actually beat it. We know that he had Fortress, he has a Tyranitar, he has a Swampert, and a Snorlax. But he doesn't really have a check to Celebi. Snorlax can potentially beat some Celebi, but not without usually killing itself, or unless Celebi lacks recovery or is a very light variant. So BKC is going to have something like a... right there. You have to have something like a Salamence to beat it. And BKC reveals he does. Celebi is going to be beaten pretty down fast. It's going to be weakened pretty quickly by the spikes, considering that it neglected to recover there. But instead, he makes a good play in baton passing, and he instead goes out to his Swampert. Now, of course, I've been seeing a lot of HP Grass recently in Advanced. I'll be the first to say that. They've been pretty common recently. And we can see that, you know, this is no item, so it probably is going to be something like a choice band variant, which is definitely dangerous to Boudouche's team. Something like a choice band HP Flying, or even the choice band Earthquake, especially with that one layer of spikes up, doing quite a bit of damage to a lot of Boudouche's physical walls that can beat Salamence. You know, I think CB Mence is definitely going to be a huge alibi for BKC here against Boudouche. So, you know, again, waiting here, BKC's taking a little time, and he goes up to his Gengar, as it's quite obvious, you know, unless you get a crit, or you do carry HP Grass, or unless you're at, like, +3, you're not going to be able to beat a Swampert with Salamence. So he takes the safe play and goes up to his Gengar, and with that, Gengar is going to probably scare away Swampert with a Giga Drain. I don't think Boudouche would even take a risk. He could protect and get a little extra health in case he doesn't have the Giga Drain, but that's highly unlikely. And instead, he goes out to his Tyranitar. Now, this, you know, this could have gone a couple of ways. Giga Drain could have fell short here, and something bad could have happened to Gengar, or nothing could have happened, and it would have been fine. And BKC would have just traded a Pokemon and killed off T-Tar, definitely a pretty big threat to his team. Personally, you know, I guess I would have went for just the Giga Drain. I would have probably just made the play and done it, considering BKC doesn't want his team to be hit really hard at all by this Tyranitar. Boudouche has definitely shown that he is very good at prediction, and that if BKC makes a false move here, that could be game. But he also does not want to sacrifice his Gengar. Although a Tyranitar like Boudouche's probably is not carrying Crunch, and probably at the worst is carrying a Rock Slide. And it is not something like a Bandit T-Tar, so Rock Slide will probably not be able to kill BKC's Gengar. Instead, he goes for the Pursuit, which does quite a bit. This is obviously a very strong, especially inclined Tyranitar, and BKC's Gengar gets punished pretty badly. If that was Crunch, that would have definitely taken it out, but it's not, and Boudouche's Gengar, BKC's Gengar is crippled a bit, which will eliminate it switching into things like Swampert, in case Swampert decides to Ice Beam it, or Hydro Pump it, or something like that. But he does trade the Tyranitar, and luckily for BKC, Boudouche's team is getting weakened with only one layer of spikes. If BKC did manage to get a couple more layers, definitely would have been really bad for Boudouche, considering how hazard susceptible his team is. So, it looks like Gengar is going to be a pretty big Pokemon here. Both Gengar and Salamence, both going to be really key players here. And he goes up to his Celebi. I do not think BKC would like to take a risk with the Ice Punch, considering it's possible the Celebi is carrying Psychic, and it very well may not KO. Not gonna take too many risks. I really wouldn't, but we'll see how it goes. Alright, now, I mean, BKC does have a pretty good switch to Celebi. I personally would not risk it, and he does. I wouldn't risk it, especially considering that could result in Celebi just recovering on me and getting healthy, and I'll have to, you know, I'll just be in a bit of a hole that I can't take myself out of, especially if he has Psychic. So BKC goes for the smarter play, and he goes to Salamence. CB Mence is definitely going to be able to put the pressure on Boudouche now. At least, yeah, this is CB Mence. Boudouche has a Celebi. He has a unrevealed Pokemon that we do not know yet. He has a dead Tyranitar. He has a Swampert, Magneton, and another unrevealed. Now, an Earthquake here could be pretty clutch, especially if Boudouche is afraid of HP Flying. Earthquake could probably manage to do around 35 to 40 to Boudouche's Swampert and absolutely kill his Magneton. Personally, I would just go for the safe HP Flying move here. Although Boudouche does not necessarily need his Magneton too much anymore, although he probably would prefer it. Yeah, I don't know, it was 2 unrevealed, so those could be definitely Gengar counters, or at least checks to Gengar. But unless BKC's Gengar has Fire Punch, Magneton could be pretty crucial, as it can definitely check Gengar. But Fire Punch could probably put Magneton straight to his grave, so we'll have to see how that ends up. Again, I'm still waiting for the play. Boudouche is taking some time here, if I'm correct. He takes a little longer. I'm going to speed this up just a little so we can get to it. So Boudouche decides to stay in and test the waters as obviously a choice bandit meant, and Boudouche is left off with 20% of his HP knocked off, and especially with the spikes, this could get a little tricky and hairy for Boudouche. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to confidently overcome this. Again, going to speed this up a little more because these moves will take some time. Boudouche again, he just takes his Celebi and he sacks it. Because, I don't know, I didn't understand that play, to be perfectly honest. I don't know why he did that. It could have been his nerves. Maybe BKC, he over-predicted and thought BKC would, predict him to go to Magneton and he would switch or something like that. But it's obvious that is, a banded Mence now, and Celebi's dead, and, this is putting a huge amount of pressure on not only Magneton, but his 2 reveal pokes. The spikes is going to take out Celebi, and it's definitely going to be a damper on Boudouche's team. So, Boudouche is probably actually in a losing position, even after that great Magneton double switch play. So, again, going to speed this up a little. BKC decides to go to his Tyranitar on the Swampert Ice Beam. Now, this could mean that BKC has HP Grass, which I believe he does. As far as I remember, I think he did. Did he? Yes. No, he didn't. I guess he didn't. I don't know. I don't remember the exact play, but BKC, I guess you could say Tyranitar is not going to be too useful in this match. BKC, I mean, it could be useful for Magneton. I don't know his 2 reveal, but at this point, I don't know how good Tyranitar would be at fighting off some other stuff. Boudouche decides just to, go straight out and sacrifice the Celebi and bring in the Doug Trio. So this is a double trapper team. This could mean that Boudouche has something like a special attacker in the wings. It could be a Gengar. It could be a Raikou. If it's a Raikou, it could be a bit dangerous for BKC. Especially if Boudouche manages to pull off another cool switch off and weaken Snorlax or something like that. But BKC is going to bring in the obvious Gengar and put some immediate pressure on Boudouche's team. Doesn't really have too many switches, but he goes to his Magneton, and we have all but 1 Pokemon on Boudouche's team revealed, and BKC makes an amazing play, goes for the Fire Punch, takes out Magneton, a pretty big, block for HP flying spam, especially with that 1 layer of spikes, so BKC can begin to clean. Boudouche taking some time here. He cannot bring in Swampert. He could possibly bring in something like Doug Trio, but that really wouldn't work out. And his last is revealed to be a Snorlax. Now, I remember when I was watching this battle, I was telling BKC, this better not be a Curselax. And turns out, what is it? A Curselax. Now, if you want to have a last Pokemon, there is no better Pokemon than a Curselax. Bringing it on something and it gets 1 curse up, you don't have Explosion, or you don't have something like a Choice Banded Heracross or a Brick Break by Mence, you are in a lot of trouble, because Snorlax will just end you. There is no doubt about it. But, it's just trouble. Gengar cannot touch it. It can Hypnosis it. It can burn it. And BKC can, attempt to Brick Break it to death. He does have Intimidate on his side, and a Brick Break with Spikes Up is going to be punishing to Boudouche's team. We'll probably be able to clean it up. But Curselax is dangerous, I could definitely put it in a pretty bad situation. Gonna speed this up again a little more, see what he does, and he goes out to his Mence. Pretty much the only thing that can really break through this. I don't believe BKC would want to sacrifice his Snorlax with a self-destruct quite yet. Mence's Choice Band, if it has Brick Break, it's gonna probably be able to force Boudouche to at least switch, or it could mean that he's not gonna be able to break through. As Mence without Brick Break wouldn't be too great of a switch. See how it goes. Speed this up a little more. And I guess BKC wants to get the Intimidate off, as it seems that he's going to go right back to his own Snorlax. This could be an Explosion. This could be a Body Slam. But BKC can't risk too much here, as at Curselax is a +2. Salamence is pretty much unable to break through it. Boudouche can make a play at any point here. BKC can explode right off the bat and kill Snorlax and end the game right there. BKC can definitely misplay here. Boudouche can misplay here. It's really more of a 50-50 and a guessing game. BKC goes for Body Slam, predicting Boudouche to go to his Doug Trio to take an Explosion. But instead he doesn't. BKC's in a corner here. He has to kill this thing, and he has to self-destruct to do it. Now, Boudouche could definitely play a good guessing game. If I were BKC here, I would self-destruct, because you know something is going to die, and you still have that extra layer of spikes to help you out. And we'll see how it goes. If he self-destructs here on something like a Dog Trio, which he does, Boudouche made a pretty good play there. He takes out the Doug Trio, and someone's messaging me on MIRC. I'll make sure to get back to you once I finish recording. But he goes with the self-destruct, and Boudouche makes the good play of going to Doug Trio. He had to go to Drug Trio there. I don't believe, although it's possible a +3 Snorlax could have maybe lived that self-destruct, although I'm not sure. I kind of doubt it. I don't think it would be able to. But this is putting Boudouche in a big corner here. That Snorlax is now going to be a little weaker than it was when it first came in. And as we can tell, this is, it's in a bit of a corner. BKC, he's not in too amazing shape, but I think he definitely has an advantage. He can go for a Giga Drain here and scare it off. I think Boudouche doesn't really have too much of a choice but to either sacrifice something or... see how it goes. I definitely think Boudouche can overcome this if he gets some lower rolls on the Brick Break side. It's obvious that BKC's Gengar cannot touch him. Obviously, I wouldn't switch out anything. I would rather, get as healthy as I can Snorlax in there when the time is right. BKC has to have a couple of good rolls with Brick Break, because a +1, a Brick Break is not so threatening anymore. Brick Break isn't too threatening in the first place, but he needs to have some good rolls here. If he does not get some key rolls, this could be the very end for BKC, and Snorlax come back. It's obvious it has Brick Break, so we're gonna have to see how this is gonna roll out. Boudouche's best play would be the rest of this here. BKC is forced to Brick Break. He cannot touch it otherwise. Gengar can't beat it. Swampert cannot beat it. Bar like 2 crits in a row. He has to get some good rolls here. Boudouche is probably going to have to rest. There's 39%. Boudouche needs to get a rest, sleep, talk curse, which he does achieve. This might be the end for BKC, but he gets the roll. And he wins, because, well, if Boudouche did not sleep talk a rest there, that was game. If he sleep talked anything else, anything at all, if he sleep talked a body slam, I assure you that would have been the end for BKC. If he sleep talked a curse, BKC probably would not have won. But BKC gets a lucky break as he sleep talks a rest. The only way for him to win, and he clutches it and wins. Great game, guys. A little bad luck for Boudouche at the end. Boudouche played very well. BKC played very well. And I think that was a really good match. Anyway, we'll see you next time for Game 2. Subscribe, like, comment. Hope you guys enjoyed the match. If you missed it, I'll be putting up the other 2 later. See you guys on the next one.